This is Maiku, and you are listening to the Narrow Path in the Floating Mountains podcast. This is a podcast that is dedicated to stories and tellings of my spiritual experiences and its relationship with mental health. Some of the stories I will be sharing will cover many topics such as the parallels in spirituality and mental health, ghost stories, dreams, tarot reading, mediumship, and more. Many of the stories I will be sharing are based purely on my personal experiences and how I have made sense of them throughout the years. So to those who are listening to this podcast, I hope that you will enjoy my stories and join me on the narrow path in the floating mountains. For today's episode, I wanted to share with you all updates. I know it has been a year, roughly a little bit over or a little bit under a year, that I have posted an episode, and I do apologize for the delay. I know in my last episode I said that I was going to continue posting, but things come up. And to be honest, last year was really tough for me. But early on this year, I was very fortunate to have found inspiration through experiences that I've had on my spiritual journey, healing journey, creative journey, my journey. And it's truly inspired me to be consistent with this. So I will be talking a little bit more about what I've been up to. And I have decided to also publicly announce on this podcast that I will be offering services for tarot reading, energy healing, and other spiritual healing services. But to explain a little bit more about what these services are, I've always offered tarot readings, but I have only offered it in person. But now I'm opening up to offering it for virtual as well. And then I am also offering energy healing, essentially Reiki, but I like to refer to it as energy healing. I could do them in person, or I was offering it in person, but now I'm opening up to offering it distant, so distant Reiki. These services, you can find them on my website, and I'll have a link below where you can access that. What else? I have been thinking about jumping back on and doing live readings too. However, for these live readings, I will also be charging for them. And this is mostly just because in the past, when I did offer it for free, it was very overwhelming. And so now I am putting a paywall on it, because it is pretty taxing for me to just kind of get in as many readings as possible. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. It's kind of like searching in your mind to channel the correct energy for the reading that a person is requesting. And you could have something that's general, and then next thing you know, you have like career, and then next thing you know, you have relationship, and then back to general. And you can do like general readings for 3 readings straight, and then all of a sudden you get like a health reading. And so it does become overwhelming doing live readings for free, but who knows, maybe I will do like a pop-up free live reading once in a blue moon. But it has been a while for me since I've done live readings. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of in this phase of like just going with the flow rather than planning it. It's very against my sun sign as a Taurus, where I have to have everything planned out. I have to know like what is going to come up so that y'all can also plan for what will come up, plan for the resolutions for when these things come up. And so I am hyper planner. It doesn't help that I have anxiety relating to planning big things too. And so big things or even small things. So I'm kind of in the season of going with the flow, just kind of responding to the calls as they come, intuitive calls anyways. But again, tarot energy healing, used to do it in person, exclusively in person, but now I'm opening up to virtual sessions. Another thing that I don't know if I mentioned on this podcast that I was doing were healing tattoos. Healing tattoos incorporate some type of healing work, healing arts work. I was specifically focusing on tarot and energy healing, and incorporating that into my tattooing. And so I was doing that. But now I am also open to doing them, like specifically pushing it out, letting people know, like, hey, this is what I do. I don't know if there's ever going to be a way to figure out how to do it virtually, right? Because tattooing is a person-to-person service or experience. But maybe there could be a possibility in the future where, that can happen. But just essentially putting it out there that I do healing tattoos. I want to also focus on talking a little bit more in detail about them in a later episode. I have that planned. So look forward to that episode. This time around too, something that I want to change is that I actually plan out my episodes to talk more in detail about the things that I mention. I know there's a lot of different things that I mentioned, topics, subjects, and I'm sure there are many people who are interested in just knowing a little bit more, because I know this because clients come in and ask me. And so I want to focus a little bit more on a particular subject matter rather than trying to bunch everything together. I think that's what was overwhelming about maintaining this podcast, was that I was trying to put as much content in one podcast, or as much detail into one podcast episode, that it became really hard for me to just talk about something fluidly. And I know that I can be a talker because I can talk off anyone's ear. But something that I want to do this time around is to have a slower pace, actually take the time to talk about one piece, so that more things can come up intuitively or organically too. And I'm also a natural storyteller. I tell a lot of stories. I always associate like one particular subject with a small story or a bigger story. And so I think it also lends me an opportunity to do that as well. So that's kind of also another update about consistency with this podcast. I have a lot of different ideas that I want to do too. Like, I'm starting to get into wand carving out of the blue and incorporating crystals into them, but that's still very, very new. And who knows, there might be an episode about that. But these are primarily the updates on the services that I am providing. On top of that too, a really big thing that I wanted to update you all is that not only am I going to start promoting or pushing out or letting people know like what I provide in terms of services, is that I'm also revamping my Facebook page, or it's either I'm revamping it or I created a new one for updates, messages, postings on podcasts, postings on my readings or my services. I decided to revamp or rebrand or start a new Facebook page to be the hub of all of these happenings. And that Facebook page is called Hu Hua with Maigu. And that link will be either in my About section on this channel, or I will have it in the description below this video. So I'm really excited about it. A huge part of why I'm rebranding in a way, or I'm coming up with this, because I've struggled a lot with how to present myself and my interests in spiritual healing arts. Because of the fear of judgment, because of the fear of how people will see me. I still get self-conscious, right? We're human. We get self-conscious when somebody critiques us. With my Facebook page, I've struggled to show up for the things that I'm interested in, show up with the things that I'm interested in terms of spirituality. And I've cycled through like so many different variations of that. Like even with this podcast, I was like, should I even pour my energy back into this podcast? And the idea with this podcast was to be informative as a storyteller, because that was how I knew how to heal, is to hear other people's story and then resonate with it so that it can help me feel like I'm not alone. And even then, when I was trying to restart this spiritual healing page, I didn't know if I wanted to maintain the title of this podcast, or I didn't know if I wanted to continue with this podcast, or if this was the still the direction that I wanted to take it. But I had to go back and remember, Maigu, you created this for a reason. It still very much resonates with you. Everything that you talked about in creating this podcast was what you intended to do, right? When we think about, when I'm thinking about my path, my healing journey as this narrow path winding through the floating mountains, sometimes it's easy to veer off of that narrow path, but as long as you come back to it, and sometimes it's gonna take a year, it's gonna take a few months, it's gonna take even more than that. And me coming back on to talk about it is a perfect example of how my perspective on my healing journey is. I literally took a whole year break from producing another episode, and the last time before that was also another year. Just kind of coming back to it is also very grounding. I think for me too, talking about it, sharing about it, and hearing it back to myself helps me to be grounded, helps me to kind of do a self check-in too. So again, with the rebranding, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I decided to hold on to the title and the vision that I have for this podcast. On top of that, throughout the past few months and year, I have had many experiences that have enlightened me, that has brought to light my understanding about spirituality and healing. It has also brought to light some things about myself that I didn't know existed. It brought to light things that I had long been seeking validation for and gave up on seeking validation for that. And out of the blue, it comes up. And so these experiences has also contributed to the inspiration behind reinvigorating my efforts into producing more episodes for this podcast, as well as opening up my services again, as well as continuing to share empowering messages or healing messages. And I hope that, that it will help those who are also seeking the same thing that I was seeking when I was at my deepest, darkest hour. And so that's in a very cyclical way. I feel like this is how I'm supposed to do my work as well. And so that's kind of like just a little bit of the thought behind that. I will have an episode dedicated to talking about my revelations. Many of them almost feel very fleeting, but in a way, important and crucial, like learning moments have helped me to, has helped me. And those moments are like, in a way, cherry picked intuitively to be considered a part of the podcast. And who knows, as I remember them, maybe I will share about it. But yeah, I want to talk about this new view, new perspective on my spiritual journey, as well as like my page that I've started, because I feel very, very inspired to share my part of myself that I had been searching for a really long time. And now it's just like, I found it, and I'm at the summit, but now I'm looking at another summit to overcome, or another summit to climb to. And so a few years ago, during the pandemic, so 4 years ago, because we're in 2024, in 2020, I opened up my spiritual readings page, and that was where I was doing my live readings. And then I also had my channel. I had another channel where I did pick a card readings, and I was doing really well with that. But then I got busy with my business. A lot of things came up. A lot of personal things came up, and I just could no longer keep up with it. And so as these things were happening, I kind of had like pockets here and there of what I was doing. And now it's kind of like reevaluating, okay, I have all of these like chess pieces, or not pockets, but chess pieces, right? Like I'm trying to conquer this part of my life, but how do I group it back up? And again, that was where now I'm trying to figure that out, is how do I group this all up? They can all still simultaneously exist as their own, but how do they come back to the purpose of like why I'm doing this? And I don't have that answer yet, but I'm really excited to learn. A funny thing too is that I actually attempted to deactivate my spiritual readings page, but in doing so, I accidentally kicked myself off as an admin, and now I have no control over that page. So I still have a lot of my old videos. I feel like saying old it's not even that old. It's like a few years. But they're still kind of floating on Facebook. Oh, and I'm speaking mostly about Facebook. But now it's like I don't have any control over it. But maybe I can still like shout it out or something, or let people know like this is still me. It's just this happened. And maybe it's metaphoric of like shedding an old skin, and then growing a new one, and that they're all still a part of the same person. It just looks a little differently. So that's the funny thing about that. Is that now I have this page that exists that I have no control over. I've been trying to figure out how to deactivate it or how to contact Facebook to deactivate it, but that I just can't. So there's that. But now I'm looking to still be producing the same type of live readings, but on a different page, and that page being the new one. I'm also thinking about connecting it to an Instagram page too, because I've already created. So the Instagram page would be more of inspirational quotes to posts, and then the Facebook page would be the one that connects the updates on the podcast, the updates on the pick a card reading, the posts, the inspirational posts, and also what's another one? It would be the place where I would be doing the live readings. So the Facebook page would be the page where I would be conducting the live readings. So I think those are the only 4 things that I have kind of going on. Because in the past it was like one or the other. Either I had to focus on just the podcast, or I had to only focus on the live readings, or I only had to focus on the pick a card readings. And so I felt like there was a lot of monotony in doing the same type of content. And I think this is one of the ways where I can still have diversity in the content or the things that I'm producing, but not be like overwhelmed, or not be like, oh, okay, I gotta do another like timeless pick a card reading, because there's only so many pick a card like readings that you can do. I'm also finding that people are also doing monthly or weekly readings. Maybe that could be the format for my YouTube pick a card readings. Another thing, it's all still very new. I literally just hopped back on this idea after I went to a spiritual fair not too long ago. It was like last month. So as I'm recording this, I'm literally in the 1st of April. It's the 1st of April 2024 today. And I went to the spiritual fair in March, and I had this goal of, okay, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna get a photo aura reading, and that's it. That's all I want. And it was mostly because the beginning of this year felt like I was freshly coming off of a lot of trauma from 2023, a lot of shedding of self-sabotaging emotions, a lot of that. And I was like, I just need to know where I'm at. I just need to know where I am energetically. I just need a self-check-in that doesn't require much reading. Like, it's, you print it out, this is your printout, that's it. And so I've had it before. I actually had this photo aura reading a few years ago. And it was also a very on-point reading. And so because I enjoyed it so much, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to it. It's been a while since I've been to a spiritual fair. I'm not planning to like go all out. I just want this one particular reading. And so myself and my sister, we went. And it was like so many people online because you had to sign up, and I think it was like the last day of the fair. And so I was like, I don't want to go around, I just want to like wait here for my turn. But I was with my sister, and I just decided to go with her, check out what the other vendors were, because anywhere you go to a fair, you kind of want to see what's around. So we went, and we had already signed up. We went, and I think it was about an hour to I think it was about roughly over an hour that by the time it was our turn, we had already gone to see one booth that had these really cool like pendants that incorporated pine cones with crystals, polished crystals, and it was a really cool idea. I really liked it. It was very unique, and I'll probably end up posting both the pictures and the crystals or the pendants that I purchased. Or actually, my sister purchased one for me, and then I purchased one for my son and my husband. But the couple that we met, it was really interesting too, who was selling the pinecone pendants. They were a retired couple. The wife was a former art educator, and then the husband was a former scientist, pharmacist, and they aged out of their industries or their fields. Actually, I remember the wife, she was let go. She was laid off. And so she was laid off, and then the husband was like, well, I guess we're doing this. And so they left their jobs and decided to do the pine cones and the crystals, and had been doing it for a few years. And so we got to talking to them, we got to sharing about what we do, and I got to talk a little bit with the wife about art education, because I have an art education background, and it was really cool. And so by the time we were done doing that, we came back to the booth to get our aura photos taken, and it was an interesting experience. At first, the lady, she was kind of like not nice. We were saying that we would be next in line, and she kind of just had like a not nice attitude. And so we were just calm, and then sure enough, like it was our turn, because the person who was supposed to be there before us didn't show up, so naturally they would just bump up the next person. And so I was the first to go. I kind of already knew what to do. With aura photos, it almost looks like something from the 70s. Like this machine looks really vintage. So this machine, what it does is first you place it on this metal box, and on the metal box there are metal plates where you place your finger. And so this metal box measures, I believe, like your electromagnetic, like whatever in your body. And the theory is that it measures the electromagnetic energy in your body that runs through your meridians, so your energy meridians. And this box then computes it and creates a photo interpreting what your aura will look like. And so it interprets what your aura looks like based on your electromagnetic energy. And so the first time I got it done, it was a digital photo. And so once they take that photo of you, they print out the reading, and then the person who is providing the reading for you, they also intuitively do a reading for you too. So you get the printout, and you also get the person who is relaying this information to you. So for me, it was really cool. I felt very validated. I had chills all over my body as this person was providing me the reading. He was kind enough to let us video record as he is talking. And so he asked us if we had ever done it before. I said yes. And he asked me what I had before. And about 2 years ago, because this reading that I'm talking about now, this happened literally just last month. But the first one I did was 2 years ago. I thought it was like a year ago, but it was 2 years ago because I came home and I went back and looked at my printout. And I was like, oh my God, this was like 2022. So I told him that I remember reading it and it said white, but it also said violet and there was some red. And so in my head, I was thinking it was like all bright red with some violets, but I didn't see where the white was. And so in the reading, it had talked a little bit about all of these different colors from my 2022 one. But this one, he was asking me what it was, and he was like, your aura this time has a lot of white. And as he was sharing this with me, I'm like, okay, white is just white light. It has, when we think about light frequency, right? White has all the frequencies of light. It has all the colors. And he was saying that, all the things that he was saying was that I'm very intuitive, I'm very connected, and because I have a very bright white aura, it naturally attracts other people to me. People who are in search of healing, or people who just find a healing like presence with me. And as he was saying this, he was also sharing about how there's blue that is right over my throat, and that I am also very good at manifesting the things that I speak. So when I speak, I manifest the things that I speak. And so I was like, oh my God, that's so true, because somehow, like sometimes that just literally happens. Like I would say, this is what I'm going to do. And as I'm working on it, months down the line, it happens. And so I was like surprised, but not surprised. But I think what was more profound for me was the validation that, and even when I found the validation, it was no longer like a feeling of despair or sorrow, or that, I was sad that, this is what I was looking for and I finally found it. It was nothing like that. It was kind of like, yeah, I know. And almost like that self-check-in that I was in a really weird way, the self-check-in that I was needing was like, okay, yeah, you're definitely on the right path. Believe like what you are putting out there. Believe your intentions, your good intentions, and that even if others perceive your good intentions as not good, that is not your reality. And so it kind of like was the biggest like self-check-in I could ever like have. And just reassuring me like, yeah, Maiku, you are right where you are, and you have worked really hard to get to where you are, and this is it. This is how it looks like. And so after that, I just was so like empowered. I was so like I was just so empowered. I was just so like, yeah, I like this. I like that. I like seeing myself like this. This is how I see myself. This photo that was taken. And so I forgot to mention that the second time around, they instead of a digital photo, they actually produced a Polaroid. And so the interesting thing is, like, the next few days after this, I carried my photo around. I had it next to my bedstand. I was like, yeah, Maiku, this is a reminder to believe in your power. Believe and trust in your power. And it made me feel so good about myself. It was almost like, when you go get something new done and you're like, I like this. Like, I like my new hair. Like, I love this. That was how this aura photo was for me. It was like, oh my God, Michael, this looks really good. Like, I could not stop looking at it. It was like I did get a new haircut, except for I had this new image of my aura. And so it was just so fascinating. I was almost in shock. I wasn't in shock. It took me a while to process it, and I think I needed that. I needed the processing, this kind of like sitting with this confidence that I had been searching for. Like, I knew it was always inside me, but this picture, and when you look at the picture, it looks like an overexposed photo, but I was just like, it's not overexposed, because I know that the background was black, and the background was black, and there was all this blue hue, and literally my sister came in and sat in next to me, and her picture looked completely different. Her picture looked more like mine the first time I had it. And so it was just so wild, like the vast difference between our pictures. And so I was like, so enamored by it. And I think really it was the confidence and the empowerment behind all my efforts. I think even throughout my journey, I questioned whether I was like a whole spiritual being that was good. Questioning, like, am I even a good person? If, I struggle with my relationships with friends and family. And I questioned that a lot. And so seeing this picture did something to me where I was like, Michael, like, you are a good person. You don't have to question that. And that everyone really is on their own journey. Everyone is on their own journey. They're at different frequencies or different parts of their timeline. And you are too. And so essentially, like, seeing myself as separate from people who have hurt me, people who I have hurt, and family and friends who I feel very strongly connected to, that I don't have to also like associate my happiness with those who also make me feel good, because how I naturally talk about it is that happiness has to come from within. Like, you're the only one who can make yourself happy. In where I'm at now too, in my healing, where I don't have anyone who I'm living with who is making me feel miserable, or I don't have relationships or friends or family members or friendships that are hurting me. All of that, I have worked very hard to remove that, and now it kind of comes back to like, you don't have to associate your happiness with the people around you. You can only associate your happiness with yourself and the happiness that you're able to provide to someone else. And I'm thinking mostly of my son. But, just kind of like coming to terms with that was very, very empowering. yeah, it was the most subtle but very powerful, validating experience I've had that has brought me confidence on a whole other level. On a whole other level that I just can't explain. And I hope that for anyone who is listening, like, it may not be an aura photo, but you know, that you're also able to find that. I really just hope everyone at some point in their timeline is able to experience that too. And I know that when you experience it, that nothing can take it away from you. Nothing can take your confidence away from you. And you don't have to make other people feel any less too, as you're finding like this newfound confidence. I always try to channel, channel the energy of you can have your confidence without making somebody else miserable. And that is something that I was very fortunate to experience. And yeah. I'm trying to think about what other things that I want to share. Yeah, I will be sure to post the aura photos, on my Instagram and my Facebook page. And if you're interested in seeing them, both my old one and my new one, I would be happy to share that. I think I will do a more extended post on Facebook as well as Instagram. Again, I don't know how that's gonna look. I'm still trying to find my ground on this. I watch readers, and I did find that we are currently entering Mercury retrograde, and this past full moon eclipse sort of had like a kick to it. It was a little spicy, this full moon. We are experiencing that, and some of the readings that I've read say that you shouldn't be doing any manifesting currently, but I'm like, I'm gonna try and plug in as much as I can, because why not plug in as much as I can for what I want to do for the next few episodes, as well as posts, as well as readings. And again, see where that goes. And if you're listening and you've received a reading or received a service from me, this is something that I'm also going to try and reach out to people, is if you could provide me with a review of your experience with my services, whether it be healing, tattoo, tarot reading in person or online, a Reiki session, or just like comments and thoughts about my podcast or my pick a card readings. Please send them my way. Or you can post it on my Facebook page. And the Facebook page is, I still haven't yet put out a call for them. I haven't reached out to people to support and follow my page yet. That's something that's a little nerve-wracking for me, but I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to reach out to people. This week has also been a little rough. I had a family emergency. Everything's stabilized now, but I am looking for reviews, and if you would like to put out a review, if you could just indicate what reading you had and your experience. You can place them at my Facebook page, Huhua with Maiku. And again, that link will be below for all of the platforms I will be utilizing. I know it's gonna be a little bit everywhere, but I promise I will. I don't want to make promises because that's already putting doubt into what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try really hard to be consistent. So if you could do that, that would be really helpful. I'm gonna try and expand my services again or push out my services again, just because I feel this newfound confidence and this balance that I want to share, but I also want to use to help support others. So without further ado, I will be closing out this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you can tune in for the next one. And that concludes this episode of The Narrow Path in the Floating Mountains. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can tune in for the next one.
She calls me day and night. I'm sorry.